Mucho gusto, ministro. Mi nombre es María. Antes de empezar, quiero decirle que es un honor estar aquí. Gracias por todo esto. Es una oportunidad muy especial. Me emociona mucho todo esto. Me encanta. Muy bonito todo.
My name is Stephen, and I'm Canada's Minister of the Environment, and it's a very special moment for me too to be able to meet with you. Thank you for coming all the way here to Bogotá so that we can have this conversation together.
Bueno, le voy a contar un poco de mí. Mi nombre es María, soy colombiana. Viví la mayor parte de mi vida en Venezuela. Ahora estoy retornada y muy alegre de estar en mi país natal. Y como cosa adicional también me gustan mucho las artes y los deportes, en especial el voleibol. También me gustaría que me contara un poco sobre usted para poder conocernos mejor.
Well, I used to be a young activist. I'm still an activist, but I'm no longer young. I started at 4 or 5 years old. There was a forest behind my house in my hometown, and they came to cut down the forest. And I went into the house and I said to my mother, "Mom, they're cutting our forest." It wasn't our forest, but I played there all the time, so it was a little bit like my forest. So my mom said, well, I said, "What can we do?" And my mom said, "Well, if you climb into a tree, they won't be able to cut that tree down." So I was a little bambino. I climbed in trees all the time when I was young. So I climbed into a tree and I stayed there the whole day. And that day they were not able to cut down that tree. I think that was the start of my activism. And 25 years later, I climbed the tallest tower in the world to protest, to put pressure on my government to do more on climate change. So we climbed 328 meters to deploy a banner that was asking Canada and the United States to ratify the Kyoto Protocol. So it's really good to now I'm a decision maker. I'm a politician. I'm part of a government, and it's good to have people like you putting pressure on people like me to make sure that we do as much as we can to protect the environment, to protect oceans, and to protect nature. So thank you for your activism.
Pues me parece muy linda una historia, ya que una persona que ahora tiene la oportunidad de tomar decisiones ya tuvo como una experiencia, ya sabe y también tiene en cuenta las consecuencias. Y pues yo preparé unas preguntas, si me permite comenzar con la primera. ¿Cuál fue el momento más importante en su niñez del activismo por el medio ambiente, todo este tema?
Well, definitely that moment shaped who I become and what I'm doing now.
Quisiera hacerle otra pregunta. ¿Qué consejos me podría dar usted para que yo como niña pueda liderar en mi comunidad todos estos procesos?
There's so many reasons the work you're doing, your activism, and the activism of other youth here in Colombia and around the world is so important. It is important for me as a decision maker, so I can tell my colleagues at the cabinet table, well, look, there's a lot of support out there in our society for the changes we are trying to bring. And obviously, youth can have a very important impact on their parents. I have 4 kids, including a daughter who's about your age, and they put a lot of pressure on me, which is a good thing.
Okay. Muchas gracias. También quisiera hacerle otra pregunta. ¿Cuáles son esas acciones que realiza Canadá a día, diario, para mejorar el ambiente, e incluso en el mundo?
Canada has not always been a model when it comes to environmental stewardship, but we're working really hard to try and change that now on many different levels. Our relationship with Indigenous people in Canada has not always been a very good one, and that's one thing we're working really hard to change. So for example, if we want to create new conservation area or national parks in Canada, before the federal government would just do it. And now, before doing it, we will talk and we will discuss with Indigenous people how we can work together to create these projects. And we're also a large oil and gas producer. We're one of the largest oil and gas producer in the world, and we know that fossil fuels contribute to climate change. So we have a very big responsibility, not just to Canadians, but to the world, to ensure that the pollution in Canada goes down in that sector. So as Minister of the Environment, I'm putting in place measures to reduce pollution in the oil and gas sector, but also in the auto sector, in the agricultural sector. And it's challenging because there's always resistance to change. But it's not because there's resistance that we shouldn't do it.
Ok, pues es muy bonito lo que todo está diciendo. Es importante el hecho de que Canadá respete el medio ambiente, produzca minerales, gases, petróleo, respetando el planeta, teniendo conciencia e inculcando conciencia en su pueblo.
It's not always, and we're trying to change that. I'm trying to explain to people in Canada that we can't hope to develop new mines if we're not taking care of people, if we're not taking care of the environment. That's not possible to do anymore.
Otra última pregunta que le quería hacer es, ¿cómo cree usted que podemos llevar a la humanidad, el mundo en general, a tener conciencia ambiental?
That's a really good question. One I've been working on for 40 years now. I think what you're doing is probably one of the most important things. I think education is the starting point of everything. If people better understand what is happening to our planet, if people better understand what the solutions are and what kind of world we're trying to create, which I feel will be a better world, then it will be easier to make the changes that we need.
Bueno, ya para finalizar quería agradecerle también por todo este trabajo en el ambiente que hace y también agradecerle por la concientización en Colombia. El hecho que trabaje acá en Colombia con el convenio del gobierno es muy importante. También que nos siga ayudando porque somos un país que necesita mucha ayuda en este tema, que necesitamos fortalecernos, pero es importante que también trabajemos entre todos porque una sola persona, 10 no pueden.
Yes, well, thank you. I think Colombia and Canada have a lot in common and should continue working together. And you're not alone. There's at least 2 of us.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Yo quería darle un pequeño regalo de parte de Plan, de parte de toda Colombia, que aunque sea pequeño, usted también forma parte del cambio.
Thank you. I have something for you as well.
¿Y también tienes
Thank
este
you.
regalo para ti?
Thank you. Es precioso, gracias, muchas gracias.
Thank you so much.
Gracias.